We're going to catch a little bit of this live stream from Donald Trump. We're on delay. We're going to start from the beginning, but already, I mean, pretty wild news here, actually. I mean, we're going to kind of, you know, this is crazy and comedic on some level, but a ban for a month of travel from Europe to the United States is what I'm seeing. That's wild. So we're going to talk about that for a few minutes. We will get, obviously, to Ben Burgess and cover some other things, but let's start with what's at the top of the docket. Welcome to each and every one of you. Appreciate you all immensely. Here's Donald Trump. We can just go to, yeah.
My fellow Americans, tonight I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak that started in China and is now spreading throughout the world. Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic. We have been in frequent contact with our allies, and we are marshaling the full power of the federal government and the private sector to protect the American people. This is the most aggressive and comprehensive effort to confront a foreign virus in modern history. I am confident that by counting and continuing to take these tough measures, we will significantly reduce the threat to our citizens, and we will ultimately and expeditiously defeat this virus. From the beginning of time, nations and people have faced unforeseen challenges, including large-scale and very dangerous health threats. This is the way it always was and always will be. It only matters how you respond.
This is important. This is the Republican part of this. Is not about climate. This isn't about gutting public health.
At the very start of the outbreak, we instituted sweeping travel restrictions on China and put in place the first federally mandated quarantine in over 50 years. We declared a public health emergency and issued the highest level of travel warning on other countries as the virus spread its horrible infection. And taking early, intense action, we have seen dramatically fewer cases of the virus in the United States than are now present in Europe. The European Union failed to take the same precautions and restrict travel from China and other hotspots.
So this is a MAGA. He's going to use this.
Stephen Miller.
Yeah, this is pure Stephen Miller MAGA stuff.
Were seated by travelers from Europe.
This is a foreign virus. We can weaponize it against China and the Europeans.
I have decided to take several strong but necessary actions to protect the health and well-being of all Americans. To keep new cases from entering our shores, we will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days. The new rules will go into effect Friday at midnight. These restrictions will be adjusted subject to conditions on the ground. There will be exemptions for Americans who have undergone appropriate screenings, and these prohibitions will not only apply to the tremendous amount of trade and cargo, but various other things as we get approval. Anything coming from Europe to the United States is what we are discussing. These restrictions will also not apply to the United Kingdom. At the same time, we are monitoring the situation in China and South Korea. And as their situation improves, we will reevaluate the restrictions and warnings that are currently in place for a possible early opening.
By the way, China and South Korea have, by most reports I've seen, actually contained this fairly quickly.
Who have agreed to waive all co-payments for coronavirus treatments, extend insurance coverage to these treatments, and to prevent surprise medical billing. We are cutting massive amounts of red tape to make antiviral therapies available in record time. These treatments will significantly reduce the impact and reach of the virus. Additionally, last week I signed into law an $8.3 billion funding bill to help CDC and other government agencies fight the virus and support vaccines, treatments, and distribution of medical supplies. Testing capabilities are expanding rapidly day by day. We are moving
I don't know
very
if there's
quickly.
any other big news
The
in this,
vast majority of Americans,
I think that,
the risk is very
okay, you can give it one more.
People can expect to recover fully and quickly if they should get the virus. The highest risk is for elderly population, with underlying health conditions. The elderly population must be very,
all right.
very
So yeah,
careful.
basically, he should be careful because he's
we are
looking
strongly
terrible. But
advising
let's
that
say, look. First of all, we were going to kind of do this as a comedy thing, but this is very serious. I mean, this is a MAGA speech. This is a MAGA address, and it's very difficult because there's a couple of things here, like whether or not I'm not in a position to say whether or not a temporary travel ban from Europe is a bad idea. I don't know. I don't know what that's being filtered through. So I'm not even going to comment on the policy prescription. I just know the rhetoric of foreign virus, emphasizing that it originated in China. And again, folks, look, if this thing becomes a fully blown, if we're still dealing with this in several months and it's hurt the economy, you want to look at it in just cynical electoral terms, it's very dangerous for Donald Trump. And he clearly sees that. That's why he's talking like this. However, I think that they see a lot of profit and potential. I think they see major danger and major opportunity in this from a MAGA perspective. So I think that's true. The other big things that are just really important to note, in addition to the obvious things about taking every possible personal precaution, but we have to understand this is also everything we talk about on this show. Mm-hmm. The gutting of global public health, the relentless assault on those systems, as well as the corresponding, environmental toxins and problems with, animal agriculture internationally. This is why we face this situation. And there is a question that has nothing to do, some smart people on the MAGA agenda will embrace this, but it should not be MAGA agenda. It should be a resiliency agenda, which every single country on earth should embrace. It is, in fact, insane that the United States does not have independence and state ownership. When I say independence, of course, I'm not just talking about foreign. I'm talking about private, okay? Private first and foremost. There needs to be state production of drugs. There needs to be resiliency in the drug sector, period. This is not only something that has been undermined in the United States, it's actually an implement of U.S. foreign policy on behalf of our pharmaceutical companies when we, as an example, target a country like India or a country like South Africa. We've exacerbated global health crises because of this rapacious policy, and it's also coming home. So we need to, again, proactively fight this MAGA agenda while also saying we need public expenditure on medicine. What is this tweet you got up?
Oh, this is CDC Director Robert Redfield, who's sort of a Pence hire, so probably like some history with HIV denial or something, maybe allegedly, who knows. Interesting comments from CDC Director Robert Redfield. I guess I anticipated the private sector would have engaged and helped develop for the clinical side. I can tell you, having lived through the last 8 weeks, I would have loved the private sector to be fully engaged.
Oh my God.
That's a cult.
It's people high on their own supply,
it's
right? Because
yes.
I mean, literally within the lifetimes of some of the older people, like the World War II post-depression era, the idea that capitalism could actually marshal resources in a crisis like this was, everyone knew it was
it's
laughable.
A joke.
Yeah,
it's a joke.
Impossible.
Impossible. It's never happened.
What's so frightening about what's going on in the United States right now with our failure when it comes to testing. I mean, we put in this ban originally to give us time to develop tests, but we had to make our own tests. We couldn't accept the Chinese one or from other countries.
WHO.
And it created obviously massive issues because there were failures with testing. What's so frightening about that? So that's the beginning, and what we're going to see as this infection spreads. Compare that to what's been going on in South Korea recently. There's been a lot of cases in South Korea, but they have responded by making the testing freely available, not just to citizens, but to non-citizens. And they've said to people who are there, illegally, right, quote unquote illegally, whatever, that you can come in and we will not prosecute you. Anybody who needs to come forward and get tested, we will take care of this, because they understand the public health crisis that is. Can you imagine Donald Trump, foreign virus that he just said, foreign virus, Donald Trump having any kind of policy like that? No, I mean, they will let this spread to spite and to attack and weaponize it against populations.
That's exactly right. And if you look at, again, this is actually a great stark example of the three roads that we have. This will be weaponized, used to accelerate xenophobia, division, crony capitalism. Then we have Joe Biden's on television saying, I will not sign national health insurance while this is happening. And then the third position, which is we synchronize aggressive state production of vital needs to build in resiliency at state, local, and national levels. And then we also, in a common human project, collaborate with all of our partners internationally to contain something that is a collective threat. I mean, again,
What about the individual?
What about the individual? You can't clean your room out of this. So yeah, we will continue. There's a lot to pick apart with this, and I just keep wanting to, balance. And at the same time, I actually think it is it's not useful to panic. It's not useful to, retreat. And the sort of political uses of panic are generally advantageous to the right. So don't panic. Clear and level-headed, but also take precautions, live your life, and recognize, again, this is another area where this struggle we are in is viscerally real. And what I think another reason I'm so internationally focused is, frankly, you go to situations that nobody should romanticize and none of us want to replicate. But one thing that people know is that shit is real. And certainly if you talk to folks, who are poor anywhere, they get it.
And, just adding to this too, we're going to, again, we shouldn't panic and we shouldn't sprint into, kind of oh my God, this is going to be some kind of, long lasting pandemic that's going to kill lots of people. It's a frightening thing because it's a virus that's spreading very quickly and we don't have a cure for it yet. But we have to keep things in perspective. But I did want to add that this is another example of the failure of markets to provide goods to people in crisis situations. There's been a lot of people, and myself included, been making fun of right-wing politicians who have been taking pictures of empty shelves in Australia, for example, right, and saying well, looks like socialism. Well, it's no, this is capitalism, because under capitalism, when you have a lot of people demanding the same good, the way that they deal with that is whoever can pay the most for that good is the one who gets it. We're seeing that happen with necessary medical equipment, with hand sanitizer, and we're also seeing it with things like toilet paper. This is a system that is the complete opposite of egalitarian. And when you need people to come together, having a market economy is by far the worst system to have because it creates unnecessary shortages, right? We still have enough to provide for everybody, but instead of being able to do that, what's going to happen is a few people are going to be able to hoard the resources and to hoard the necessary goods. And then a few really cynical people are going to hoard them and then resell them at a high profit margin for themselves.
Absolutely. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.